Hello! Welcome to the very first episode of Kindred Stitch. I am your host, Emily, or I would like to be known as your friend, Emily. You can find me on Instagram as Anders Mill Knits. That is my original handle, and if you would like to friend me on Instagram, that is a great place to start. The other one I have for this channel and for the business thing, it's not really a business, I don't know what to call it. But anyway, it's called kindred.stitch.co. So CO at the end. And join me there. I'm trying to post more frequently on there. If you would like to know what I'm talking about, I will get into that in a moment. But this episode, I really wanted to focus on all the goodness that I've been up to in the past year since I picked back up stitching, cross stitching. My mother tells me that she taught me to cross stitch when I was a little girl, but we have no evidence of this. I have no memory of it, although my memory from my childhood is pretty spotty. And there's no documentation anywhere. So I'm going off of what my mom says, but she has 6 kids, so she could be thinking of one of my sisters too. I'm just saying. Because all of my sisters and we are all very craft oriented, and we love to craft. Do we craft together? No, we do not. So it's okay though. My sister Amy loves to sew, and my little sister Kelsey loves to paper piece and crochet. I do pretty much every kind of hobby crafting out there except for machine sewing, because that gives me a migraine. There's something about the sound of the engine in the sewing machine that gives me a migraine. But my mother instilled in us crafting from a young age. She taught us to crochet at a young age. I put all of I think my mother taught me to knit. I know she taught me to crochet. I can't say that she really taught me to knit, because it's interesting, because I've taught my mom to knit now in the last 20 years. I'm constantly working with my mom on little projects that she's on. I picked back up knitting when I was 21, and hand sewing at that time as well. Again, because I don't like the sewing machines. And I did hand sewing for about a year, but I really focused on knitting for the past 20 odd years, about 23 years now at this point. I picked up crochet again when I was pregnant 3 years ago, maybe a little longer than 3 years, because my son just turned 3. Fell back in love with crocheting. Oh my gosh, do I love to crochet. And I was such a snob about crocheting before this. I was like, oh, crochet, oh, it's so nubby, and there's so many knots, and it's just so stiff. Like and they only use acrylic. I was such a capital B word about it. But at the same time, when people would show me their crochet, I would be like, oh, that's so amazing. And in my head, I'd be like, oh, yeah, crochet. But now I absolutely adore it. So I'm a hypocrite, just so you know, I'm a hypocrite. So another thing about me is I am an open book. Anything you want to know about me, I will tell you. I have no secrets. I haven't knit in about 7 months now. I've tried. I mean, when I say I haven't knit, not to the level that I used to knit. I used to knit every single day. It would be my constant companion. I would carry it with me everywhere. And I still do actually carry it with me everywhere, but I don't pick it up. I had my dog that I had for about 15 years. He passed away very suddenly in November, or was it October? I think it was October. And I just went off the deep end with grief. I really struggled. Sorry, his picture is right here on my phone right now. So that's Watson. So I was looking at that, and he passed away. He was my soul dog. He was my everything. I knit him this sweater that you see him wearing in this photo. And then one of my oldest friends in knitting passed away this couple months ago. And she's only a year younger than me. Or she was. And I haven't really been able to look at my yarn or knit, because every time I do, I think of Annie. And the grief is see, even now, it's getting to me. And my chest is really tight right now. So forgive me. Where's my picture? I have a picture of Annie on my desk at all times. And I don't know where it went. My son, my toddler son, he likes, when he comes into this space, he likes to mess with things. So I haven't been able to knit or crochet really in a long time. And I picked up cross stitching again last October, and I really haven't stopped since. Now, I do find that cross stitching is not very portable for me. It is, and then again, it isn't. I'll show you some of the things. So I do miss having objects or a craft that is portable with me. I do have ADHD. I do find it quite stressful to not have something to do with my hands. Point in fact, I usually get my nails done, and these are my fake nails right there. But I was so stressed after something that happened with the government this last week that I ripped off like half of my nails at this point. And there you go. So I prefer to have something with me at all times. I am a clinical counselor. We are in my office at my work right now, and I came in on a Sunday. Today is July 6th, so happy post 4th of July if you celebrated. And I wanted to record. I just really, really wanted to record a Flosstube. The reason I'm calling it Kindred Stitch is that once I started into the cross stitch community, I love all the Flosstubes. I love them. I think I'm subscribed to at least 100 of them at this point. Same with knitting YouTube channels. I think we should call them knit tubes, man. Because you got, now with cross stitching, we've got Flosstube and knit tubes. Come on. That doesn't sound bad, does it? Anyway. And I absolutely love them. I adore them. I watch them a lot. I put them on in the background, especially when I'm doing like chores in the house, like doing the dishes or something. And you guys have enabled me. Oh my gosh, I have gotten so many patterns because of you guys. And the other reason, though, when I started into the community of cross stitch, what I noticed is that everything was very hodgepodge and disconnected. There are Facebook groups, which I'm a member of quite a few of them, and I love my peeps in my Facebook groups. There's some Discord groups, and then there's Flosstube. To my knowledge, there isn't a place on the internet that you can come just to be with. The whole website is just about community in cross stitch. Community, getting together, making friends, doing stitch alongs, and that's another thing. Like trying to find like these stitch alongs that that are happening all over the place, and when they start and all this kind of stuff. Oh my gosh, it gave me such a headache. Although there is a website, and I will link it below, that I found. She tries to do a really good job of the big and yearly stitch alongs or SALs. And she lists them out and gives you the link to where they are. Anyway, So I decided, okay, well, I come from the knitting community, and in the knitting community, we have a website called Ravelry, which I tell everybody is just like Facebook, but only for knitters, crocheters, technically spinners and weavers, but they're focused on knitters and crocheters. And I have been a member of Ravelry for close to 20 years now. I was one of the very first, not the very first. I should look up my number because when you sign up to Ravelry, they give you a number um, to tell you like where on the list you joined. But we're in the millions now of people who are members of Ravelry, and it's totally free. Uh, Although there are some perks that you can pay for. So I wanted a place like that, but I am not a website designer. I don't know how to do all this stuff. So I found a place called Mighty Networks that helps you build out a sort of similar uh, place like Ravelry, but it's kind of like Facebook, Ravelry, and Discord mashed together. Okay, and so I signed up and I paid a lot of money to start it. And I have to pay a monthly fee in order to have my Mighty Network, which is called Kindred Stitch. And so I decided that this would be the place that hopefully that people would find value in to come and gather and just talk about everything. And so I started this YouTube channel to tell everybody about my website. So far, haven't I've gotten about 15 people signed up because it is a subscription based um, website because I have to pay for it, and my goal is literally just to break even. So the subscription is very little, and I have huge plans for this to make it more and more like Ravelry, and to one day be able to save up enough money to actually pay somebody to create a website for us that is just for cross stitchers and covers all of the things that I have on my bucket list that I can't seem to make happen within my Mighty Network community webpage or website. So then I decided, okay, well, I've been wanting to start a Flosstube, so here we are. Okay, so today on my list of my show notes, I thought we would go over my FOs for 2025. I only had one in 2024 because I picked up cross stitching again in 2024. But I did complete the one project that I started. I've got some honorary finished objects from my bestie that I want to show. I've got two frogged. Frogged is what we call it in knitting, and I noticed you guys use frogged as well in cross stitching. So frogged just means you ripped it out. Technically, I haven't ripped one of these out, but I've scrapped it. I've got two of those, and I've got 8 works in progress, so whips. I thought we'd go over all of those and just let you see what it's all about. And then, you know, in upcoming episodes, I will share a little bit more about who I am and my family life and all those kinds of things. I'll just integrate them a little bit here and there. But so the very first thing I thought we would unfortunately go over because it's at the top of my list, at top of my basket here, is actually the one piece I have to show you that I have frogged, which this is the Fairy Queen. I started this in May. I had intended to stitch this up. I'll put a picture up here of the pattern. I had intended to create this for a really good friend of mine named Amy, and she is a fairy. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. She's a mythical creature of epic proportions. She is one of my favorite people on this earth, and she recently helped me out in a very significant way. And so I wanted to repay her by cross stitching her a fairy. And so I found this Fairy Queen. What I determined is that this person that designed this piece, I think they found an image online and then converted it to a cross stitch pattern. There are over 50 colors in the finished piece, and it is not full coverage, and it's not a dimensions piece. It's not a dimensions gold. It's just a regular pattern. And I was really struggling. I am the kind of stitcher that I like to stick to one page of, or one page of the pattern at a time. And I really enjoy doing color completion. But I was struggling so much with this one. I just really couldn't do it. And so I have picked a different pattern to do for my friend that will probably take me 5 years or so. Who knows? But, and you'll see I've got a really pitiful start on it. But I really love it. The piece that I chose instead, I was not enjoying this at all. I was not enjoying this at all. I found I had a lot of stress. I was stitching this on 14 count Aida. Right now I'm really in an Aida phase, although I have gotten some into, it's not called even weave. Is it even weave? Where it's like Aida, but it's softer, and why am I thinking Lugana? Is it Lugana? I'm trying to learn all of the different I'm trying to learn all the different names of things. But I also started, I think it was a late night. I think I saw this pattern and I thought it was Star Trek themed. It was Star Wars themed, and I wanted to stitch my husband something for Father's Day. I bought the pattern. I started the pattern. I was halfway through the pattern, and all of a sudden I looked at it and I'm like, wait, this is not a Star Trek warship. This is not the Enterprise. This is one of the ships from Star Wars. And that this red moon over here, that I stitched painstakingly, is Star Wars. And we're not Star Wars. I mean we do like Star Wars, but we're not diehard fans like we are for the Star Trek universe. We absolutely love Star Trek and all of its iterations, all of its jump offs. We watch them all. We love them all. So I scrapped that one, and I was so disgusted with it that I actually just threw it away. I was so mad. It took me a couple days, but I actually did cast on for, wait, is that what we call it? Or start. I guess I started the Star Trek pattern that I found. That was pretty simple because at this point I had less than half the time to complete this project that I had envisioned for my husband. And it's at his work right now, so I can't show you. If I have a picture, I'll put it up here. It's super cute, but it's also very simple. And I mounted it on a piece of wood, and that was an experience in and of itself. So I guess we're kind of into FOs now. So let's back up a little bit. So the very first piece that I have completed in this year is this cow. And I've washed it, but I haven't ironed it. One of the things you're going to know about me fairly quickly is I always have a printed cross stitch on the go because I find them very relaxing. Yes, the fabric isn't great, but the images are wonderful. And in my line of work, or just as a busy mom, having the printed canvas to stitch on without having to think or count or any of that is very, very useful for me. And so I have always, right now, I think I've got 4 or 3 on the go with plans to cast on quite a few more or start quite a few more. But I stitched this cow here in a weekend back in January at some point. This was before I started recording in my book of days what I stitched on. Now, I love this book of days. I love it, but it doesn't provide me everything I feel I need in order to track or take notes of what I am working on. So don't hold me to it, but I might redesign this kind of thing for a Stitcher's journal or something, a yearly Stitcher's journal or something like that. But I do have it, and it is useful for keeping really fast notes for me anyway. But I know I did this in January. I didn't take any pictures of it. I didn't share this online, and I also didn't have my book of days at the time, but I know it was in January. So it's beautiful. I still intend, I intend to paper piece a border around it, and that paper piece thing might turn into a pillow. So I'm not going to paper piece the entire pillow, but I was thinking I would paper piece the border, and then it would kind of merge into a pillowcase type thing of solid fabric. That's making total sense, I'm sure. But I love this. I love cows. Love cows. Got a cow right there. My dad grew up on a dairy farm. His family owned a dairy farm here in Alaska when back in the 50s and 60s, and I think a little bit into the 70s. And so I think I've just always naturally just been drawn to cows. My dad hates cows. But because I didn't grow up on the farm and I didn't have to take care of them, I seem to love them. Then for Mother's Day, let's do that one first. Okay, so then on May 28th, no, let's start in April. So on April 15th, I completed a stamped cross stitch for my mother that I've named Hummingbirds. And I'll put a picture of the finished project here. This was my first leap back into counted cross stitch. It was still a kit that I got off of Temu, and the fabric isn't great. It's just, again, 14 count, I'm assuming Aida. Of course, they don't tell you. And if they do tell you, it's all in Chinese. So, couldn't tell you. So, I did complete this for my mother for Mother's Day. And she has it proudly displayed in her living room. And my sister Amy, when she saw it, when my mom opened it up on Mother's Day, my sister Amy actually gasped. I was like, yes. My mom didn't seem too impressed, strangely enough. But then again, my mom has been the recipient of my handcrafted things for eons. Every year for her birthday, she gets a pair of hand knit socks. Usually for Mother's Day, she gets another pair of hand knit socks because that's what she prefers to wear, especially up here in Alaska. Although it's very muggy and hot today. I really want to put my hair up, by the way, but I'm like, Emily, you'd probably look better with your hair down. So keep it down. Although I think I look better with my hair up. But by the way, I look terrible with short hair. Like, I can't cut my hair shorter than this because I look terrible with short hair. Okay, sorry. Okay, anyway, told you, open book, tangent, ADHD. There you go. Very neurodivergent. But my mom seems to like it. I just don't think she wants another framed piece in her home. So I was thinking about taking that piece and making it into a pillow as well for her because she loves pillows and blankets and all that kind of stuff. So that was a great thing. So I felt invigorated. I felt strong. So I decided I'm going to take a piece that I bought years ago to cross stitch. I don't know why I bought this piece years ago, because the idea that I had this year was not in my head years ago. I know that for a fact. But probably back in 2020, I bought this pattern called the Salt Lake City Temple. Just so you know, I'm LDS. Grew up LDS, kind of strayed from the church for a long time. Have been back mainly due to the fact that I want my son to have the values that are taught in this religion. There are some things that I am very much going to talk to my son about that were never spoken about growing up for me, and I feel like my parents were not prepared to talk about these things, like about trauma in particular. And so I'm going to be talking to my son about those things, but the values in the church, the goodness, the compassion. That's what I want my son to embody. And so we do go to church. My parents were married here in Alaska back in the 70s, and then they saved up money and they went down to Salt Lake and got sealed, as they called it, for time and all eternity. So even when they're passed on, they will still be married and they will still be together in the Salt Lake Temple. And so my idea is I will finally stitch this piece, which doesn't seem very complicated, right? Doesn't look very complicated. Oh my gosh, my people. I mean, I can't even the graph doesn't look very complicated, but once you get in it, because it's all these monochromatic different shades of gray. Oh my gosh, I used off-brand DMC thread, but it's not DMC. It's off-brand because I couldn't afford to get all the threads for that. I know that sounds terrible. And there's like 7, okay, actually, hold on. Just of gray, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nope, that's green. And then there's 5 grays. There is 1 white. There are 2 brown/black brown shades. And then of course there's other things like gold and stuff like that. I was so frustrated with this piece. And then there's a crap ton of very long back stitch. Like this whole thing right here is 1 back stitch. But she doesn't describe in the pattern how to do the back stitch when it's that long. And so I had to do a whole lot of trial and error, and I'm still not happy with how it came out. But I did it. I gave it to my dad for Father's Day. He absolutely loves it. I mounted it on a piece of wood that is light enough, so the whole piece weighs less than 30 grams. And so it's light enough that he can hang it in their motorhome because they like to travel around the United States in the wintertime. And so, and I put down at the bottom my parents' names. I put the date that they were sealed, and so I put all that. And I think I put Salt Lake Temple somewhere. Where did I put it? Anyway, you have this image, so you see that. Although I'm gonna gray out there, or I'm gonna blur out my parents' names there. So I gave that to my dad for Father's Day, and he loved it. Absolutely loves it. I think my mom was way more impressed with that one than she was with the hummingbird one that I gave her for Mother's Day, because she sat there and stared at it for quite a while. Also for Father's Day, I stitched up that really simple Star Trek, and I got that. So I finished the Star Trek piece on May 28th, and I finished the Salt Lake Temple on June 8th. And then on June 18th, I became really sick. I've been sick for over a month now, although I'm better now. Don't worry, I'm better now. But while I was sick, I ordered from Walmart just some really simple kits to send to me because they were just so cute. And one of the kits I got was this: Be You, Do You, For You. And if I haven't mentioned it yet, I am a counselor. I'm a clinical counselor. Been one for about a decade now. And this is my office. And so I've been wanting to cross stitch some pieces that have meaning within the mental health world. And I thought this was a great foray into it. I love the colors. For me, it speaks to both the homosexual community and the LGBTQ community. I'm very welcoming and open and love everyone. I do not care your background. I do not care your sexual orientation. I do not care about the trauma that you have or have not experienced. I do not care about any of that. You are you in this beautiful package. Wow, I'm gonna cry. I just love people. All of you are so beautiful to me. So I hope we can be friends. But one of the things that I say to my clients a lot, and they kind of giggle at it, is I say, sometimes I say, be you, sweetheart. Like, don't mask up. Don't put on the niceties. Don't do that. We, we need you. We don't need pretend you. We need you in this world. So I tell my clients a lot of times to be you. And then a lot of times they'll tell me something that they're going to do as if they're wanting me to shame them. And I'm just like, no, you do you, boo. You do you, boo. They giggle at that one a lot. So I finished this. I stitched this in hand, not in the hoop. This is also a is it a 14 count, Ada? It's a 6-inch. Be you, do you. Division of. Oh yes, see there it says 14 count Ada fabric. But the kit came with all the floss and this hoop. I think it was like $6 or less. And so I'm going to lace this back here. I just haven't done it yet. So it'll all be scrunched up. And here's my back. Here's how it looked. And I did do color completion on this. So I skipped around a lot. So I started right here with the B. I'm also so for you, I think this looks right hand, but I am a left hand top corner starter. I do not like starting in the middle. That is way too stressful for me, way too much counting. So I just make sure I leave at least 3 inches on the sides of my pieces, and I start 3 inches in on the right top hand corner. I cannot do the middle start. Way too stressful. I'm sorry. So I started there. So I did all of the stitching that was that color, and then I just moved on. Even in there, I messed up on the butterfly a bit, but I don't think you can notice it. I didn't mess up. I messed up on the count. I messed up on the design, and I messed up where the colors go because, again, I am a mom, and I'm pretty sure I got distracted by my son or my 2 dogs. So, but I don't care. The other thing I love is that I think mistakes make pieces even more beautiful. So, to me, this is absolutely beautiful. I don't really like butterflies, though. I mean, I like the real things, but I rarely like the designs of butterflies on things. I rarely like that. So I did that. I finished this on June 18th. This was about a week into my sickness. So I did that. Then I picked up another piece that I bought the kit for off of Temu, and we went to the emergency room because of my sickness. They gave me antibiotics, and I had an allergic reaction to it. Yes, I did. I went into anaphylactic shock with antibiotics that I know I've had multiple times over my lifespan because I've been a sickly gal since the day I was born. So I have had antibiotics my entire life. But now, guess what? I am not allowed to have penicillin ever again. I can have synthetic antibiotics, but I cannot have penicillin-based antibiotics. I'm going to get checked out. My doctor put in a referral to the allergy clinic. They are going to test me for every single medication out there, and hopefully build a whole list of things that is detrimental to my body. Because since I had Jimmy, I have had, this was the 4th allergic reaction to a medication that has happened, and so the 4th time to the emergency room and all this kind of stuff. And my doctor and I agreed we just cannot keep doing this. Every time I get a new medication, I feel like I'm taking my life in my hands. So anyway, I was at the hospital, and I asked my husband, can you please bring me a cross-stitch kit that's super easy? Because I thought, I'd start stitching on it there. I didn't. Anyway, but when I got home, I picked up this piece and I cross-stitched it in, I finished it on June 27th. So I finished it in a week and a half or less. 9 days. I finished it in 9 days. And it is another Temu kit. It's a stamped kit. You can still see some of the ink on the edges up there and down here. I let it soak for a couple hours, and I changed the water twice, but those ones just won't come out. But it's absolutely gorgeous. I love this. This is an 11 count, so I used 3 strands of, again, I'm pretty darn sure it's an off brown off-brand DMC floss that comes in these kits. This is not a mistake up here. These are snowfalls. So these white white little flecks up here, that was meant to be there. I love it. There's not a lot of detail in it because it is 11 count, but to me, the graphic of it is actually really great. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put it in a hoop and I'm going to put it on my wall, probably here at the office. And you'll see in a little bit, I started my second mountain design. So I love that one. And then that was it for me finishes. So that's 6 finishes in 2025 so far, and it's June 6th. Yeah, no, July 6th. But honorable mentions, my bestie, Mary. I really wanted these pieces and I didn't trust myself to stitch them. But Mary is just such a go-getter and she just figures things out. She's amazing. So actually here, the first one that's I'll take off my wall and show you that she completed for me was this beautiful fox. Oh man, that is some glares. Woohoo! That is some glares. Woo. Okay. How about there? Okay, let's try that. Look at that fox. I love foxes. Foxes and cows, chickens, any animal really. I will never stitch a cat. You will never see me stitching a cat. I say that and then I'll be a hypocrite someday because my son really wants a cat and I might fall in love with cats and I might stitch something, but no, I'm sorry. I don't like cats. I don't get the fascination with stitching them. But that's, you do you, boo. You do you. Foxes, though. They are so smart. They're wily. They have survived for hundreds and thousands of years. And they're, I don't know, I just absolutely love them. I could go on and on. So there's all this shading in these pieces and all this back stitching to create that shading. And I just didn't trust myself to do this. And so I gave the kit, again from Temu, to my bestie and asked her if she would stitch this for me. And she came back like, I want to say it was a week or two later with it finished. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. This you finished in a week? And she did. So, and then I had another kit in that series that I absolutely love. So I gave that to her and she went away and stitched it and came back. I mean, look at that sweater. It's a unicorn. So I didn't really want to frame this one, but I might end up still framing it to go along. I'll go get maybe a gold frame for this one too. But see, look, it's not going to fit. It's too narrow to fit in the same gold frame. And I can't afford to get things professionally framed. Okay, I'll just set this down. It'll be a hard time to. So I got this book box from Michael's on sale, and I think I have painted it shut. Oh no. Okay. I think I have. Well, I just broke it a little bit. Look at that. I thought I'd given it enough time before I closed it. Apparently not. Got to fix some things up. Anyway, so I painted it this shimmery blue, and I was going to mount it on. I was going to mount this on, like I did my husband's and my Father's Day present, and mount it on here. So that's why I didn't paint all of this here. I painted all around and on the insides. And I don't know how much I Mod Podge, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to have to Mod Podge some more. Anyway, and so I was going to stick it on here and then put this on the shelf, and it could hold, I don't know, some mementos of our friendship or something. I don't know. I was thinking about it. But I'm also thinking not, that I kind of would prefer it framed and kept for all time, safe, where it won't get dusty. But I just don't know. We shall see. But those are my honorable mentions. Okay, so let's pause for a moment and get reorganized so that we can talk about what is currently on my hoop. Okay, so things are going to look a little different now because I've reoriented. I couldn't take it anymore and I put my hair up. If you see me anytime in real life, this is how my hair usually is. Um, and I've reoriented so that I'm actually looking into the camera rather than off to the side like I was doing. So on to my works in progress, or WIPs. Now this is in literally no particular order. The dates are just, I just literally put them in a pile and started writing them down, and I didn't care when I started them this year. So they're I will tell you the month that I started them, but I see, look at how I'm looking over here. Come on, Emily, you can do this. So the first one that I wanted to share with you is the Country Cottage Needleworks, the month of May, Cottage of the Month, May Cottage. So I started this in May, which is my son's birthday month, and I was thinking I would hopefully get it done for that month, but because I bought the entire 12-month series, I bought all of them. I haven't finished May yet. And it's such beautifully packaged. They're so cute. I did try to put this in Markup XP. The picture didn't work well, and I got really frustrated, so I'm working from the pattern. But I have this on a pretty large hoop with this. So I am using all of the specialty called for colors. So we have mainly DMC, but they're, oh wait, no, I am using all DMCs. I'm using the DMC alternative for the two. And actually, one of them, the Bright Leaf from Weeks Dye Works, the DMC alternative is number 435, and I couldn't find that, so I'm actually using 434, which I think looks great anyway. I forgot that people do this, where they have something behind it so that the light doesn't show through. But so I started up there. I have the rod finished, and a little over half, or do I have all of that finished? Oh no, I started. And I was going to try and do color completion on this too, because the green goes into the tree down up here, but I didn't trust myself to count that far and get the right number. And this was before I realized that I could use the pens that you use on sewing to mark things that just washes off. I didn't know that I could do that. So I am using the the fabric called for in the pattern is 28 count lamb's wool linen. So what I asked for was the even weave equivalent from ChatGPT. So that's what I'm working on, which I believe is, I mean, technically I think it's 14 count, because 28 linen is 14 count Ada. So I'm pretty sure this is 14 count. See how great I am at notes? But see, that's one of the things that I feel like I don't have the space for in the book of days. And I need that because my ADHD brain cannot keep these kinds of details lodged in there. It's not important enough for my brain to remember until I'm doing something like this. And then the information is not there. But I love it. It's beautiful. I will be doing all of them. I do not care how long this project of 12 months takes me. I just want them all, and I want to have, I don't know if I want to have a collage wall with all of them framed and put up, or if I want to just have one out for each when it's its month. I don't know. I've got all kinds of ideas for this. All kinds. So I got to figure out where I'm going to put all this. Okay. So the next thing that I have on the hoop is, let's see if this bag has a name on it. I don't think it does. And this was one of my first bags that I purchased. I've only got 3 bags that are for cross stitching. I want a bag for cross stitching that if I have the project on a hoop, I want to be able to put the hoop in it. I don't want to have to take it out of the hoop in order to put it in the bag. Any bag makers out there want to design that? Or anybody know of a bag maker that does that and want to send me in the right direction? Okay, so this next one is called Lavender Fields. I don't have a paper copy of this. I bought it off of Etsy. This is part of my very first stitch along that I am hosting on Kindred Stitch. It is called How Does Your Garden Grow? And a lot of times in knitting, what we do is we just say, everybody, we're going to have a sweater knit along. Everybody just go out, find a sweater you want to knit and knit it. Other times, we'll say in knitting, okay, we're going to knit this particular pattern all together. And so I've been noticing that in cross stitch, there is always, it seems to always be a theme. Maybe I'm not cognizant or aware of others, but it seems to always be a particular pattern. And I really enjoy themed based stitch alongs. So I decided to, knit alongs, because when it's a pattern, I find it way too, when it's a pattern specific one, I find it way too stressful to keep up. And then I fall behind, I get frustrated, and it languishes. And I didn't want that to happen. So I wanted everybody for this stitch along to be able to pick their own pattern, whatever they wanted. The only prerequisites I had for it was it had to include flowers of some sort. And so I picked this pattern because I love lavender. It's one of my all-time favorite smells, and I love trying to grow it up here in Alaska is pretty difficult, but I have attempted to grow it for over 20 years. I have had some success. I noticed at an old work of mine when I drove past it a couple weeks ago that the lavender plants that I planted when I was like 23 are still growing well in the front area, and they don't do anything to them. They don't water them. They don't do any at that job. They don't do any landscaping at all. So those plants are not being taken care of at all, and they're still going strong. Maybe that's the key. Maybe I take care of my plants way too well. and I need to ignore them in order for the lavender to thrive. So I started this the July 2nd, so 4 days ago, and I am not using any of the called for DMC in the pattern. I switched them all out for what I prefer. So the main color of the lavender is DMC 3041. The off color, or the contrast color, is DMC 333. And then I've got a bunch of different things. So for the stems of the plant, it's going to be DMC 890 instead. That does not show up well. That just looks like black. For the dress of the woman, which I'm envisioning to be me, the dress, I can't decide. I'm thinking this one, which actually, okay, see, look, can you tell I've got purple and pinks? They're my thing, as represented here. Okay, so either DMC 777 or DMC 961. I'm not sure which. Then we've got my face, which is 739. Then we've got my hair, which is 744. Close enough. And just so on and so forth. The basket, I've picked different colors there, pick different accent colors. If you want all the list of them, I can send it to you. Who knows if it will look great. When I started stitching the contrast color of the lavender, I started up here. I was like, oh my gosh, what have I done? This is not going to go well. Then I told myself, just keep going, see what happens. And I really love it now. Can you guys spot my mistake in this one? Right there. And you know what? I'm leaving it because mistakes are beautiful. So I'm leaving it. I fudge things a lot. Just so you know, I do fudge things a lot. And I'm really enjoying this piece. Really, really enjoying it. You can tell, again, the color completion process that I'm on. So I have finished all the lavender buds that will go into the basket, and then the basket that she's holding in front of her, I've got to finish just really quick to the contrast color of the lavender inside there. So it'll take me like, I think there's like 12 stitches left to do. But I was just falling asleep too much last night. I couldn't keep my eyes open. So I went to bed early. I went to bed at the same time my 3-year-old son went to bed, 7:45. Okay, this next piece has been a real struggle for me, real learning curve. And I have reassessed my expectations of myself, my abilities, and timelines. So I am stitching the Sister Sampler by Heartstring Samplery, which I absolutely love. And to me, the women up here represent me and my 3 sisters. And I love that saying that's on there. It says, beside a well, one does not thirst. Beside a sister, one does not despair. And I feel like that's very apropos of my relationship with my sisters. So I started this piece. I ordered the fabric, which the fabric is... Okay, here we go. The called for fabric is Dames of the Needle, Mad Hatter's Tea Towel, and 40 count, which then means for even weave or Lugana, oh my gosh, I need to figure this out. I needed 20 count. So I ordered the 20 count. I ordered this huge piece that I knew I didn't need the entire piece, so I cut it down. I put it on my hoop, and I started stitching away, just stitching away on the leaves, and I was doing great. I loved it. I thought I was doing great. And then I went to show it off in my favorite Facebook group, Cross Stitch Unlimited. I love the people in that group. I just love them. I went and showed it off. And as I was taking the picture, I noticed that the fabric was going the wrong way because I was stitching this way, and this is the edge of the fabric. So I didn't have enough fabric to go all the way across the piece. And I was like, oh my gosh. Now, this took me stitching all of these leaves here. Probably took me about 20 odd hours because I'm not a fast stitcher at this point. And I'm counting and I'm trying to figure it out. Also, this is the smallest stitch weave that I've done so far. So, and I was also trying to learn the two-handed method where I, stab in from the front with my left hand, pull out from the back with my right hand because that's my dominant hand. And so I thought to myself, I'm just not going to do this. This is not happening. I'm not doing this anymore. Not happening. Now you can tell I started over, right? So after sharing all of that and the woes in Cross Stitch Unlimited, my friends, or my new friends, and people I don't even know, they encouraged me to take a breath and start over, reorient, or even try to figure out how to put this in, make it a part of it. So I've left it for now, wondering, is there any way that I can make it a part of the design? I seriously doubt it. It will have to be ripped out. But for now, it's just there. It's also reminding me of my resilience right now. It's really reminding me of that I can do that because I felt so defeated. But I started over again. And I told myself, Emily, you're not going to do color completion. You're going to go according to the pattern. You're going to travel across. You're going to travel across. So I did. Now this color right here of the flower is not the color called for in the pattern. In the pattern, it's, I don't know how I missed it. but in the pattern it is something like, maybe it's red rocks or so. I don't know what it is, but I from Weeks Dye Works. I don't know what it is, but I missed it. And then I also didn't have the DMC color that the pattern gives you the conversion for. So I just went and I looked at whatever color I liked that I thought would be a great color for my sister Amy. So I picked this out and I'm using that. Did I write down what it is? No. Oh, okay, here it is. DMC 504. So this is where I'm holding all of the thread for this right now. I am stitching this 1/1 on 20 count. So this is also the first time I've ever done that. So there were a lot of firsts in this. A lot of firsts, huge learning curve. And I'm okay with that. I'm figuring out how to hold my threads. I thought I would always want to do bobbins, but I am discovering that the drops are really great when you've just got 1/1, but these drops that I've got are not great for keeping track of what color it is. So I used one of my knitting or my crochet needle minder things to hook things to clip on the card of classic. So this one right here is English Ivy, and so that's the color of these leaves up here, right there. So I really like these drops. So if anybody has any recommendations of where to get drops that I can keep track of the colorway names on, that would be really helpful as well. But for right now, can you tell I'm not really, I like bags, but I'm not like, that's not a make or break it kind of situation for me. If I don't have a bag for something, it's not a make it break it situation. So this is the third project that I don't have in a bag, or second project, I don't know. Okay, this bag, I got these bags off of Temu. They are so much cheaper than getting those bags that everybody gets off of Amazon. I got 5 of these or 10 of these for $10, and I love them. I love them. I've ordered a couple more. This is holding 2 projects right now. The first one, so this is an example of the painted, no, colored fabric that I use that I get from Temu. This right here is a dinosaur that my son saw. I had purchased this for one of my clients and they ended up not wanting to do it. And so I like had it sitting on my table or something. My son loves dinosaurs. And so dinosaur? So I said, okay, let's do this for you. So I started this one, Dino for Jimmy, started in February. I haven't gotten very far. Actually, I kind of have. There is a lot of confetti in this piece. So I've done a lot right here. I've done this part of the sun. I haven't done this part. This is all, and I do want to do it all. This really dark, beautiful floss. Let's see, they have the DMC conversion on here. Okay, so color. Okay, so the blue is number 27. So the DMC conversion is 939. So I'm assuming, I think that's right. I think. And I've done a lot of the wheels and things like that. But the thing about these kinds of kits and patterns, it doesn't really look like you've done anything on them, even though you have. Okay, sorry about that. My husband called to give me a status update on our son. Apparently, our son had a really hard time getting down for his nap. So my husband, they were planning on coming to help me switch around my office so that my clients, they always sit on my couch here, and I always sit in my rocker chair there. But I told my husband I have a really hard time seeing their faces because the sun just shines through and it puts their face in shadow. And one of the very important things as a clinician is to notice all the micro movements of a person's face, the way they move their eyes, where they're looking when they're telling you a story, if an eye twitches, your mouth, is it, what, their big body language I can see fine, but I'm really struggling to see my clients. And these windows here are inside windows that go into my son's playroom slash sleep room, nap room, which we also use for playroom for our other clients too that have kiddos. So we just figured we'll switch everything around, maybe reorganize some other things in here to be more like user friendly, flow friendly. But it's 4 o'clock. My son is still asleep, and my husband has an engagement tonight. I think at 6 or 8. I can't remember. And so I was just like, "Don't worry about it. You know, I haven't even gotten started. I've been trying to record for the past 2 hours or more. So don't even worry about it. We'll figure out. We'll get things done when we get things done. Okay." So anyway, back to the story about this. So there's just a ton of confetti. And the thing about these pieces is that you don't actually really clearly see the stitches that you've completed because of the big because of the color that's in here. Now, see on my counted cross stitch, easy peasy, you can see what I've done. Easy peasy, right? On these ones, because they're painted or stamped, I think they call it stamped, it's really hard to tell what you've done. But I have done quite a bit. All of this blue in here, the yellow, the blue over here, the blue down here. This takes a long time to go all the way across, full cross. So this is again on 11 count. So I'm doing 3 strands. I didn't mean to get so many kits that were 11 count. Just when I was ordering them, I didn't really understand that the higher the number, the smaller the stitch. But also, sometimes I intentionally did buy 11 count because I figured it would be easier for my clients to stitch on and not feel, stressed. So it's kind of a combination of each. But now, and I don't mind 11 count. I don't mind. And also, this fabric is pretty darn terrible, but as you use it, like I stitch this all in hand. And I really like the fact that I can stitch this in hand because it's so stiff. I don't have to worry about how my stitches lay. Also, on these were started before I understood the concept of having your always starting your stitches from the same hole over. So I am a top left square starter going down, and then I really like railroading. I think that's what they call it, where you do the one leg of the stitch and you go. In fact, you can see it on here. Last night I fell asleep, and you can't see it very well, but right there I railroaded, sort of. Right there I railroaded all the way around with this berry color. And I started to come back, but I was falling asleep again. And so I stopped. I'll just finish it later. But I really like these pieces because I don't have to think when I pick it up. I don't have to reorient myself to where I was in the pattern, what I was working on, my thought process on it all. And that's one of the things that I'm struggling on with having multiple counted stitch projects, because I have to take some time and but it's mindfulness as well. But I take some time to just reorient myself to it. But as a mom who has literally 1 hour a day in which I am not being needed as a mom, I find it really hard to get anything done when I have to orient myself and then begin. But also I have 2 very needy dogs, which I'll tell you about in another episode. Very needy dogs. And so technically I really don't get that hour ever. So that blue, yeah, because I just noticed they have the code on the back of the leaflet. But my son's gonna love this. My son's gonna love it, and it's gonna be up in his room for who knows how long, because he loves trucks and he loves dinosaurs. So might be in his room for his whole life. Who knows? could be. So I've got that in this pouch here, but I also started this week the what I'm calling Mountains number 2 piece. So the first mountain, I don't know where my FOs went. Okay, well, so the first mountain stitch, there was I think a blue background or a yellow background. This is driving me crazy now. Oh, they're all over on my coffee table. That's where they went. So I won't get them. But this one now starts with a pink, and I still feel like it's very Alaskan because even though I'm sure these are lupins, they look very much like fireweed to me. And so, and we have a lot of flowers out. I've forgotten what their names are, but they look like really hardy wild daisies, but they're not daisies, obviously. So this very much looks like an Alaskan scene to me. So this is mountain number 2 that I'm doing. Again, I have at least 4 in the series, and this is done on 11 count. And I started that this week. Again, I started that in when I was going to start a session with one of my clients. And here we go. There we go. And I wanted something mindless to stitch on. And my clients love when I stitch on things during our sessions. Oh, so this is actually a good example of railroading because I haven't finished a bunch. So I started in the sky with the pink, and I got all of this all done during about 5 sessions this week. And then I just railroaded across here and then down here, and I ran out of thread for that, so I put it down. And then I decided, oh, you know what? What I really like doing is I really like when there's confetti type stitches. I'm learning this on the dino piece. I like getting the confetti type stitches stitched, make them a priority before the big blocks so that I don't have to worry about them later on. They won't be forgotten. So I decided to stop that and move on to the confetti. So I've just done literally like, okay, let's see. See, I'm feeling it to see. I've done that much of a green, and right there is where I stopped. And again, using 3 strands, using the kitted floss, and it's an off-brand DMC. I know it is. It's not great quality, but you know what? These are not heirloom pieces. This is self-care. This is, well, I don't like calling things self-care because it's such a kitschy term these days. So I call it self-nourishment. And so this is self-nourishing. I don't care if this goes in the trash in 10 years. It'll be fine. I'm just really enjoying the process of stitching on it and having something in my hands. So, oh no, I just zippered my thread. Great. Emily. Maybe having 2 projects in one of these is not a great idea. It is rather full, but, and I like closing them. This, this doesn't bother me either. See, there's this catch here on this zipper. It catches every time I either close it or open it. It doesn't bother me any. It'll bother somebody else, but it doesn't bother me any. But in every single one of my kits, my pouches, I always have, where did it go? I just had it. One of my needle threaders, because I'm blind. I cannot thread needles on my own at all. And then I have a pair of my scissors. Oh, there's my little scissors right there. Right there, my tiny little scissors. And they're just cheap little scissors that I've got off of Amazon, like a pack of 10. This does have my phone holder in it because I was using my phone stand the last time I was doing the dino, which was on, actually yesterday. It was yesterday. So no, the time before I had my dino. I was working on the 4th of July. I was standing up my phone. Okay. All right, so this is my one and only at present dimensions kit. This is a gold kit. This is what I replaced that frogged piece, that fairy one with. I got the spring fairy kit, which I love so much more, and I think it represents my friend so much more. I am contemplating changing out the hair. While my friend does have brown hair naturally, what she does is she makes fake dreadlocks in her hair. Every couple months, she hand felts wool into her hair and makes it longer. I know it sounds weird and I know it sounds crazy. It is the most awesome thing you have ever seen. And yes, she is a Caucasian woman and she looks awesome. I just love it. But I was thinking, in order to represent her more, that I might figure out how to do that. But then at the same time, this is such a serene piece that also represent, I mean, Amy's not exactly a serene person. And I don't mean that in a negative way. She just has a lot of energy and she's just so happy and just so encouraging. And just like, if you're not excited about your life, by the time you're finished talking to her, you will be excited about your life. That's how she feels, right? Everything about her just exudes embracing life. And so I was thinking about getting all of the kits for the fairy, because I think there's a fairy winter or something. I don't know. I have to look that up again. But I have all of that, using everything that's called for. So this is my extremely tiny little start. This is my first time I am using 16 count, no, 14 count. I don't know what count this is. It's in here somewhere, but I believe this is a 16 count. And I switched out the fabric for, again, an even weave instead of Ada. I switched out the fabric for this beautiful blue. And I started on the tree, the background of the tree, and that is a combination yarn or blended yarn, not yarn, floss. So two different colors into one. And boy, howdy, that took me forever. Dimensions assumes that you know what the key stands for blended and what all of these things mean in here. And I don't. So I'm having to figure things out. So this is the first time I'm doing a blended floss colors too. Whew, this is a rough episode, huh? Oh, wow. We're getting there though. We're almost done. See, again, I still can't close this. It's in my frame and I can't close it. So so this bag again is from Temu, but it's the style that you guys normally get off of Amazon. This is a really fun start for me. Really fun start. I am so excited about this. I'll show an image of the pattern on the screen, but I am calling it the As You Wish sampler. I started this on June 29th. It is being stitched on 18 count. Oh my gosh, look at this. So all of those others were Zweigart. Well, that's the company. Luke, Ada. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But this pattern is being stitched. I got this from the Crafty Grimalkin, and it's the colorway Caledon. So kind of like Caledonia from Ireland. I believe that's Ireland, right? It's the Zweigart, and it is a fat quarter, 1/4 of a fat quarter, and it's 18 count Ada, which this Ada is not like your mama's Ada, because boy howdy is it amazing. So I researched out because for 18 count, it's kind of in that middle ground between people recommending using 2 strands versus people recommending using 1 strand. So I started stitching this in hand with 2 strands on the border. And look how terrible that looks. Just this border piece up here. I absolutely despise it. Now, what I do like is down here where I switched to 1 strand over 1. And I like that. I like the way it looks. And I like the way, because I wanted to stitch this whole piece in hand. I just wanted to try it. I mean, I stitch in hand for my stamped pieces, and the frames, going back and forth on the frames when I'm just holding them in hand, they get heavy. I've got shoulder problems, and so in fact, I just had the frozen shoulder procedure done on both shoulders in December. So I just wanted to see what it would be like to stitch in hand. This is looking great. These borders, no, not with 2 strands. So I'm going to be ripping those out. Plus, I want to rethink what I'm doing here. Anyway, so ADHD brain, again, I forgot about you can mark on your fabric if you got a washable pen. So I just took some thread of a scrap piece of floss and I marked off key points. So this is the key point of this square. This one is at 50 stitches over here, and this one's at, or maybe, no, this is at 100 stitches, and this is at 200 stitches over here. I mean, come on. I'm a silly widgeon. But I know this piece is all stitched in the color blue, but where is my bag? Oh, there's my bag. You know, I like pink. And I decided I wanted to stitch this all in some pinks. So I found this lady called Stitchy Stuff on Etsy, and she hand dyes both yarn and floss. And I love her colors. I love her colorways. So I'm going to be ordering some yarn from her in the near future when I don't feel so broke. But I got the color Rose Petal, which I am considering my main color of the piece. And then I got this beautiful, like, mulberry maroon, but not red, color that I thought complemented very well. And this is called Elven Wine. And I am loving the combination. Hold on, let me put these back. I am loving the combination of the two on here. So my thought process was, in each of the squares, I would have one element that would be the Elven Wine, but the main color would be the Rose Petal. And I love the variegation on the Rose Petal. Do you see it there? The variegation is so beautiful. So instead of doing my railroading, I am actually doing cross completion on each stitch so that the variegation stays consistent. So what I'm thinking, and I have no idea if I'm going to do this, is that I might rip out, no, I know I'm ripping out the border here, but when I stitch it again, I was kind of wondering if I should stitch it in the Elven Wine. But then all the inside borders would still be the Rose Petal. Or if I should still stick with my original thought process, which was literally just one element in each square be the Elven Wine throughout the piece. No border, no nothing with the Elven Wine, just the one piece. I don't know. I'm thinking about it. And just so you know, for each of the pieces, each of the squares, so the image piece, that's the pieces. If there's an image piece in there, that's the part that I am planning to be Elven Wine. For the Cliffs of Insanity down here, I'm figuring out what I want to do. I know the actual cliff piece will be the Elven Wine, But the rest, I'm still thinking. In other words, I'm still thinking. I'm being very organic about this process. I really am enjoying the stitching in hand. I'm not enjoying stitching letters. I don't know if I just don't like stitching letters or words, or if it's how I'm doing it, because I can't railroad and I really prefer to railroad stitch rather than cross completion. I don't know if that's what you call it, cross completion. I don't know which it is, but I'm not enjoying that piece. I love big blocks, but I just don't like threading needles. And that has nothing to do with lettering though. So I'm being weird about all this. I am starting to buy more needles and stuff, and I am coming up with a way to, I mean, I know there's already ways out there. I'm just researching around, seeing what I would like to have multiple needles. That's why I'm not stitching anymore on my Gold Dimensions Spring Fairy, because I want to have threaded as many floss colors as I can for that one, and then get going, because there's too much confetti, there's just too much going on, and my brain cannot handle the like, where do I put the thread if I'm because I don't do parking. I'm not doing parking right now. That's just something I'm just refusing to learn right now. So where do I put the thread when I take it off the needle so I don't lose it, especially when it's a blended 2 strands, right? So my solution is I'm just going to have a bunch of needles threaded, and with the colorways, and be able to just pull as needed. Hope that made sense. Okay, so my last piece, we're on our last piece. Oh, is what I am calling Enjoy the Ride, I think is what I'm calling it. Or okay, hold on. Let me get out the piece, because it says something on it. It says it's all about the journey. So this is another one from Temu, and it's a bicycle. And I'll tell you some other time why this is important to me, but just know that it's important to me. And so I am stitching this. I have literally just done the grays, the boring gray up here. I'm literally in the middle of stitching somewhere in the words here. And then I'll move on. For some reason, this isn't calling to me as much. I started the bicycle in May. No, I didn't. Why do I have it written down that I started it in May? Hold on, let me look at my book of April, May, June. New cast-ons, bicycle, May. I put it over here. Huh, feels like a lot longer ago that I see, I call it cast-ons, project start. But that is my last piece. So just a reminder, we had 8 whips, 6 finished objects, 2 frogged projects. And let's see, of the finished whips, 1, 2, 3, 4 of the 6 actually, well, no, I can't count BU yet because I haven't finished completing the framing piece on it. So I guess 3 of the 6, so half of them have actually been framed or mounted or whatever you want to call it. So they're fully finished. I think that's what people are calling it. Thank you guys for sticking around with me. It was a rough go. And you guys are freaking awesome. And I really appreciate you. Message me if you want to email me anything. andersmillknits@gmail.com is one of my emails. I also have an email for the Kindred Stitch, but I can't remember what it is. I think it's Kindred Stitch 907, but I'll flash it across the screen for you there and have it in my thing there. If you want to connect with me on Instagram, please do. If you would like to subscribe to see what shenanigans I get up with, or just want somebody that's nattering on in your ears while you're doing one of your chores, go ahead and subscribe. If you want to hit the like button, hit the like button. I thank you for that. I thank you for all of your compassion, your kindness that you hold in your heart. I thank you for being you. And I don't have a kitschy thing to say about until we see each other again. But until we see each other again, oh, here we go. Here's the kitschy thing. Until we see each other again, keep stitching. How's that?